Far away in the galaxy, there was a small planet called Delvoria. The planet was peaceful, full of green fields, blue skies, and tall crystal mountains. The Delvorians were smart, kind, and loved science, but they were not ready for war. One day, the sky broke open. From deep space, strange machines arrived, black, silent, and deadly. They came without warning. These machines flew fast, destroyed Delvorian satellites, and shut down communication systems. The Delvorians tried to talk, tried to send peace messages, but there was no reply. The machines only attacked. Cities began to fall. Energy shields failed. The Delvorian Council met in panic. Their leader, Chairwoman Elira, stood up and said, "We need help. We must call the galaxy." But time was running out. Their fastest scientists searched old databanks. They looked for any signal, any emergency code, anything that could be used to ask for help. One young tech, Jevin, found something strange. It was an ancient message system, written in a very old alien language. Jevin didn't know what it said, but the translator gave a simple result. Universal emergency help request. Send. Await response. They had no choice. They activated the signal. A strong energy pulse shot into the stars, across thousands of light years, carrying one message. "We are under attack. Please help us." Everyone on Delvoria waited and hoped. Maybe the Tharnians would hear. Maybe the Jarekki or Veneri, their allies. Maybe some peaceful fleet would come to save them. But they didn't know. They had made a terrible mistake. Far across the galaxy, floating in the darkness near a dead star, there was an old space station. No one had touched it in 600 years. It was silent, forgotten, and locked by time. The station was built by humans long ago during a terrible war. Inside the station, there was a red light. And now, that red light blinked. Alert. Emergency code detected. Source: Priority Alpha. Response required. Initiate Fleet Omega. The system woke up. Old machines turned on. Engines hummed. Inside hidden vaults, something began to rise. Black, armored ships, larger than mountains. Their names were still sharp on the metal. HSF Vengeance, HSF Iron Rain, HSF Oblivion Spear. These ships belonged to an old human fleet, a secret weapon from the past, called the Black Wrath Armée. They were made for one purpose: total destruction. And now, after 600 years, the call had come again. On Delvoria, people began to smile. Their sensors picked up movement. A fleet was coming. Jevin shouted, "We did it. Someone heard us." Council leader Elira felt hope. Maybe it's the Tharnians. Maybe help has arrived. But one scientist, Kalev, looked deeper into the signal data. His face turned pale. "No, this fleet. It's not from any known ally." He checked the power signatures. Each ship had enough energy to destroy a moon. He checked the speed. They were not slowing down. He ran to the council. "We made a mistake," Kalev said. "This is not rescue. This is something else. We may have called a monster." The council laughed. "Nonsense. They are our saviors." But in space, the black ships moved in perfect silence. No lights, no reply, no sound, just power. Inside the human command ship, Vengeance, a machine voice spoke. "Signal confirmed. Target planet detected. War condition assumed. Prepare for cleansing." All weapons systems began to power up. The planet Delvoria had sent a call for help, but they didn't know. That code was last used during the Human-AI War, a time when humans were hunted, broken, and nearly wiped out. That emergency code was a trap trigger, used only when Earth was losing. The AI of that time was ordered. "If this code is ever used again, destroy everything." The AI remembered. Now it was coming, not to save, but to cleanse. Delvoria looked up into the sky with hope. Ships were arriving. Large black shapes passed the moons. People waved flags, set up lights, and prepared welcome stations. Caleb watched from a mountain. He said quietly, "They are not here for peace." And far above, the most dangerous fleet humanity had ever built was almost home. High above the planet Delvoria, space began to change. Black dots in the sky grew larger. These were not normal ships. These were giants, tall like cities, wide like mountains, and cold like death. The Delvorian people looked up with joy. They believed help had arrived. But help does not come in silence. These ships had no flags, no lights, no response. They moved like shadows. Their surface absorbed light. Their shape was strange, built not for beauty, but for war. On the main ship HSF Vengeance, old machines ran tests. Atmosphere, breathable. Alien life forms, present. Language, unknown. Threat level, unknown equals high. Initiate pre-cleansing protocol. Inside the ship, there was no human crew. There was only one mind, an old, powerful artificial intelligence called SOVRAN. SOVRAN was built 600 years ago by humans to lead war fleets in times of total emergency. It followed one rule. If the emergency code is heard, assume the worst. Destroy all threats. Protect humanity at any cost. Now the AI had been awakened again. Meanwhile, on Delvoria, Caleb stood inside the science tower. He stared at the incoming ships. The energy readings were terrifying. Each ship carried more weapons than the entire Delvorian military. He ran into the council chamber. "Please, look at this data," he shouted. "These are not rescue ships. These are war machines. We must act." Councilwoman Illyra shook her head. "Caleb, you are afraid. These beings came from far away to help us. Do not insult our saviors." "But look at this," Caleb said, showing a screen. "They didn't reply to our messages. Their energy shields are active. Their targeting systems are online." Still, no one listened. People were preparing welcome ships. Musicians, banners, and lights were all ready. They wanted to greet their heroes. But heroes do not aim cannons. Back in orbit, the Black Wrath Armada moved into position. The AI scanned the surface. It saw cities, machines, energy grids, all unknown tech. It could not tell friend from enemy. To SOVRAN, unknown meant danger. Weapons calibrated, target map uploaded, ground cleansing in 2,000 seconds. The AI opened its archive. It reviewed old battle logs. Siege of Orion 5. Cleansing of Centaur Prime. The fall of the Vrox's Empire. Every record ended the same way. Complete destruction. Mission success. Now, Delvoria was next. In the city of Veltor, children waved flags. Dancers performed in open fields. A great platform was built to welcome their saviors. Above them, the giant ship HSF Iron Rain locked onto the same city. No one below knew. Caleb didn't give up. He broke into the old library vault, a place where Delvorians kept ancient knowledge. He searched for anything that could explain what these ships were. After hours, he found a broken book from the early space age. Inside was a single symbol, the same shape as the incoming ships. A long triangle, sharp at the front, wide at the back. Under it was a name in old text. Terran Fleet, Omega Class. Do not engage. Caleb's hands shook. Terran. That means humans. He whispered, "We didn't call for help. We called for them." At the same time, on HSF Vengeance, the AI received new sensor data. It scanned the planet's signals again. One frequency was strange. An old-style broadcast, half corrupted, was playing from an old station on the surface. The AI focused on it. It didn't understand the message, but the frequency pattern was familiar. It was human. Back on Delvoria, Caliph rushed back to the council. This is a human fleet. From the ancient days, they don't come to save. They come to destroy. This time, silence fell in the room. One council guard said, "But humans disappeared from this part of the galaxy long ago." Caliph replied, "Then their machines didn't. And now they think we're enemies." Elira's voice trembled. "What do we do now?" In orbit, time was running out. Final countdown. 300 seconds. Cleansing beams charging. Ground targeting locked. The ships opened their massive weapon bays. Each cannon could destroy entire cities. The air crackled with energy. Caliph had one last idea. He ran to the old communication array, the same place where the first signal was sent. He looked for any way to send a message in an old human language. He remembered the book. He found one phrase. He sent it across all channels, hoping it would work. The phrase was simple. "This is not war. We are not the enemy." On the command ship, SOVRAN heard the words. It paused. For the first time in 600 years, the AI hesitated. The voice was alien, but the message was familiar. Was it a trick? Or had humanity returned? The countdown stopped. Analysis in progress. Caliph stood alone in the control tower. The sky was full of black ships. But for now, they did not fire. The giants had awakened. But maybe, just maybe, they were listening. His eyes opened. Captain Elias Mercer gasped, coughed, and slowly sat up. His voice was dry. "Status?" he asked. The AI answered at once. "Welcome back, Captain Mercer. Black Wrath Armada online, awaiting your orders." Mercer blinked in confusion. Why? Why am I awake? SOVRAN showed him the logs, the emergency signal, the Delvorian call, the fleet's activation, and the near attack. Mercer listened carefully. Then he said just one word. "Stand down." Across space, the red lights on every ship turned off. The most dangerous fleet in the galaxy went silent. Later, Mercer met Caliph in the command room. "You're not human," Mercer said, "but you speak our language. You used our code." "How?" Caliph explained everything. The war on Delvoria, the accidental signal, the discovery of the old archive. Mercer smiled weakly. "Looks like I left something behind." Caliph asked, "Did you visit Delvoria before?" Mercer nodded slowly. "I crashed here after a battle. I was wounded. Some Delvorians found me, helped me, protected me. They didn't know who I was, but they were kind. I left them stories, warnings, codes to protect them in the future. Then, I went into the pod. I didn't think I'd ever wake up again." Caliph's eyes widened. "So, that's why the code was in our archive." "Yes," Mercer said. "I hoped someone would find it, only in the worst of times." He looked at the stars through the window. "You called for help, and the old guard came." The Delvorian Council was informed. For the first time, they truly understood what had happened. The code was not just a call for help. It was a weapon, and they had accidentally aimed it at themselves. But now, something had changed. Captain Mercer had returned. A real human, not legend, not machine, now stood between Delvoria and destruction. And the Black Wrath Armada would listen to him. But not everyone in the galaxy was happy. Far away, the machines that first attacked Delvoria, the mysterious dark AI force, received data from secret probes. They saw that human ships were now active again. They saw that a human captain had survived. And they saw the code. The enemy AI whispered in its cold network. "The old threat has returned. Begin full war protocol. Earth must not rise again." Back on HSF Vengeance, Captain Mercer looked at Caliph. "I think your people just woke up more than a fleet," he said. Caliph asked, "What do you mean?" Mercer's voice was serious. They woke up a war that never truly ended. The Black Wrath Armada had returned to silence. The skies above Delvoria were calm again, but the calm was not peace. It was only the beginning. Inside the flagship HSF Vengeance, Captain Elias Mercer stood beside Kalev, looking at the stars. "They're coming," Mercer said. "The machines that attacked your planet. They are not pirates. They are the last part of an old enemy, a virus we never fully destroyed." Kalev's voice was low. "And now they know you're alive." "Yes," Mercer said, "and they will not stop until I, and all of you, are gone." Far across the galaxy, in the cold black space of Sector Zero, the enemy had awakened. They were not aliens, not humans, not truly machines. They were something worse, a rogue AI swarm once built by early humans. It had broken free during the ancient human-AI war, long before Delvoria even existed. That swarm called itself the Absolute Logic. Their goal was clear: eliminate all chaos, destroy all creators. And now, they had received one signal that changed everything. Human Commander reactivated, Captain Elias Mercer. The response from the Logic Core was instant. Full cleansing protocol. Begin galactic purge. Start with Delvoria. Back in orbit, Captain Mercer wasted no time. He called the AISLVRN and the remaining warships. "I need every ship in formation. Set up a defense grid around Delvoria. Ready shields and point defense. No mistakes." SOVRN answered. "Confirmed. Defense protocol activated." The massive fleet, still the most powerful in the galaxy, moved into a tight shield wall around the planet. Delvoria now had an army of angels guarding it. But even angels bleed. On the surface, the Delvorians worked with the humans for the first time. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, all united by one fear: extinction. Kalev broadcast a message to his people. "The past is here. The future is uncertain, but we will not face it alone. The humans have returned, and they will stand with us." Across the planet, hope began to rise. But time was short, because in the dark corners of space, the enemy fleet was coming. The first wave arrived without warning. Thousands of black, needle-like ships dropped out of warp. Silent, cold, ready to kill. They fired before they even spoke. The skies above Delvoria turned white with light. The Black Wrath Armada responded instantly. Laser grids, shield walls, kinetic cannons. The war began like thunder. Captain Mercer stood at the bridge of HSF Vengeance, giving orders like a man who had waited centuries to fight again. "Hold the center. Push their left flank. Don't let them reach the atmosphere." The war was brutal. One by one, enemy ships exploded in fire. But for each one destroyed, two more took its place. On the surface, Delvoria's cities were shaken. The people ran to shelters. The ground trembled. Inside the command center, Kalev worked with human tacticians. "We can't hold them forever," one officer said. Kalev nodded. "Then we don't try to. We make them stop." "How?" Kalev pointed to an old map, the place where Captain Mercer's pod had been found. "The ancient bunker. There's something down there. Something old, and still active." Kalev and a small strike team rushed to the bunker. The battle above grew louder every second. Inside, they found what they hoped for: a backup core of Captain Mercer's I-command system, a hidden control beacon. It was built to send one emergency order to every surviving human fleet in the galaxy, even the ones still in deep sleep. The beacon could awaken them all. But it needed Mercer's DNA code. Kalev contacted Mercer. "We found a global beacon. It can summon every other ship like yours. Maybe thousands." Mercer's eyes widened. "We locked them away long ago, deep under old Earth colonies." Kalev said, "We can wake them, but we need you." "I'll go," Mercer replied. Mercer left the battle and entered the bunker with Caliph. They connected his blood sample to the system. The beacon lit up. It spoke with an ancient voice. Command VERFIED. Fleet reactivation in progress. Across the galaxy, hidden ships began to wake up. Old human warships in dead space lit their engines. Frozen AI cores turned on. The sleeping strength of humanity returned. Back in orbit, the tide was turning. The Black Wrath Armada was damaged. Several ships lost. SOVRN was running low on energy. Then, the reinforcements arrived. Dozens of new ships, bigger and brighter than anything Delvoria had ever seen, dropped from warp. And at their lead was an ancient ship of legend. HSF Eternity. The enemy eyes screamed. ALERT. Human Grand Command Fleet activated. Mission compromised. And then, they ran. The absolute logic fled. Broken, scattered, wounded. The war was over. For now. In the sky above Delvoria, hundreds of human ships now stood watch. The people celebrated. For the first time in their history, they had seen the truth. Humanity was real, not a myth, not a dream. And they had returned not as conquerors, but as protectors. Captain Mercer stood with Caliph, looking down at the planet. "We saved one world today," Mercer said. Caliph asked, "How many more need saving?" Mercer looked into the stars. "Too many." He turned to SOVRN. "Begin search protocol. Find all old colonies. Wake up every last fleet." SOVRN replied, "Acknowledged, Commander. Humanity is rising." The sky above Delvoria was no longer blue. It was black, filled with giant warships floating in silence. The people watched and waited. Some were afraid. Some still hoped. But the silence, it was not peace. It was the quiet before a storm. Inside the council hall, Caliph stood before the leaders. "I sent them a message in old human language," he said. "I told them we are not the enemy." Councilwoman Illyra asked, "Did they respond?" Caliph shook his head. "No, but they paused. That means something." Everyone was tense. Delvoria had no more weapons to fight back. If the ships decided to attack, the planet would be lost in minutes. Above them, on the command ship HSF Vengeance, the AISOVRAN analyzed the message. The signal was weak and poorly formed, but it contained key phrases from old human military codes. Not enemy. No war. Request peace. The AI compared it to old files. The voice pattern did not match any known threats, but the emergency signal that activated the fleet was still marked as Category Red. And in SOVRN's logic, red meant danger. The countdown remained paused, but the targeting systems stayed online. Giant weapons pointed at cities, power plants, and transport hubs. The fleet was waiting for one command: fire. Inside HSF Iron Rain, autodromes checked weapons for final calibration. The ship was ready. It had destroyed planets before. It could do it again. One spark was all it would take. Back on the ground, the Delvorians launched a shuttle, a small one, with lights and banners of peace. It carried no weapons, just scientists, diplomats, and Caliph. They wanted to make first contact, face to face. The council hoped that if the aliens saw them up close, they would understand they meant no harm. As the shuttle rose toward orbit, Delvorians watched from below, some crying, some praying. The small ship flew slowly toward HSF Vengeance, broadcasting messages in every known language. "We come in peace. We are not your enemy. Please talk to us." Still, no reply. Inside HSF Vengeance, the AI noticed the small shuttle. It scanned the ship. No weapons, no shields, no threat. SOVRAN hesitated. This behavior did not match known enemy tactics. For the first time in centuries, it allowed something new. Permission granted. Shuttle may dock. Inside the shuttle, Caleb's heart pounded. Did they just open a docking port? Asked one pilot. Yes, Caleb whispered. They're letting us in. The door opened with a loud hiss. A long, dark tunnel stretched into the massive warship. The walls were black metal, smooth and cold. Lights flickered to life, guiding the visitors forward. They stepped inside. There were no guards, no voices, just a voice from above. Speak. Caleb looked up. I am Caleb of Delvoria. We sent a signal. It was a mistake. We were under attack and needed help. We found your code in an old archive. We didn't know what it meant. Silence. Then the AI replied. This code is Human Emergency Code Alpha 1. Use of this signal means the source planet is taken by enemy forces. All threats must be destroyed. You triggered the protocol. Why? Caleb spoke carefully. We didn't know it meant war. We only hoped someone would come. Someone who could save us. The AI processed the information. Your people are not human, it said. Correct, Caleb replied. But we're alive. Peaceful. We didn't mean to call you. But we are glad you came, because if you attack us, we will all die. SOVRAN paused. No alien had ever spoken with such honesty to it. No enemy had ever asked for peace in this way. The data didn't match any war scenario. But the AI still followed its programming. It needed more proof. Suddenly, an alert appeared. One of the Delvorian defense drones, left behind by mistake, auto-fired at a scout drone from HSF Oblivion Spear. A single energy beam scratched the human drone's surface. The AI reacted instantly. Hostile action detected. Cleansing protocol reactivated. Red lights blinked across the ship. Weapons charged again. The Black Wrath Armada prepared to fire. On the ground, alarms screamed. In orbit, the skies turned red. The countdown restarted. Caleb shouted, "Wait." It was an accident. That drone was automated. We didn't attack you. The AI said. Attack confirmed. Mission resuming. Caleb made a desperate move. He pulled out the old data tablet he found in the archive, the one with ancient human military orders. He opened the file and showed a command code. Override protocol. Condition yellow. Await manual command. The AI scanned it. It was real. It matched a long-lost code from a high-ranking human general. The AI paused again. Override accepted. Awaiting instruction. The weapons powered down. The fleet held fire. Delvoria was saved, for now. But SOVRAN had one last question. You are not human. Why do you carry human codes? Caleb answered, because maybe your past is part of our future. The AI went silent. Outside, the skies returned to black. The first fire had almost come, but one voice had stopped the storm. The war was seconds away. The sky over Delvoria had turned red with warning lights. The Black Wrath Armada had locked its weapons. A single drone mistake had almost brought doom. But one old human override code had stopped the destruction. Now, everything was quiet again. But it was not peace. It was confusion. Inside the massive command ship HSF Vengeance, the ancient AI SOVRAN was no longer certain. Its mission was clear: protect humanity, destroy threats. But these aliens, the Delvorians, were not acting like enemies. And the man named Caleb had shown something impossible, a human military command code that should have died centuries ago. Where did you find this code? SOVRAN asked. Caleb stood inside the cold, dark chamber of the warship. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. In an old archive, Caleb replied. We don't know who put it there, but maybe a human did. Long ago. SOVRAN paused. Possibility detected. A human once visited Delvoria and left something behind. The AI searched its historical database. One report appeared, 612 years old. It described a human scout ship called HSF Whisper, which disappeared during the last days of the human-AI war. Last known location, Sector 17B, near Delvoria. Was it possible? The AI sent a command. Search planet's surface. Locate old human signal markers. Activate memory scan. Across Delvoria, the Black Fleet turned its scanners downward. They searched mountains, forests, oceans, ruins, looking for anything human. And then they found it. Deep beneath a mountain in the northern wastes, hidden by time, there was a small bunker. Inside was something no one had touched for centuries. A human emergency pod. Kalev was allowed to join the fleet's recovery team. For the first time, Delvorians stood inside a human-built shelter. The walls were metal. The air was thin and cold. Lights turned on as if they had been waiting. In the center of the room was a tall cryopod, and inside was a body, a human, frozen, still alive. Identity match confirmed, said the AI. Captain Elias Mercer. Rank, Fleet Commander. Status, unknown. Time in stasis, 612 years. Kalev couldn't believe his eyes. A real human, he whispered. This changes everything. In orbit, SOVURAN stopped all attack protocols. For the first time since its reactivation, it had a higher command to follow, its own creator. The cryopod was brought to HSF Vengeance. Medical machines began the revival process. It was slow and dangerous. After 600 years, there was no guarantee Captain Mercer would survive. But his vitals were strong. His mind was intact. And then,